Let's talk about classes in roleplay games. Right now I'm developing a roleplay game on the Savage Worlds tabletop roleplay game system, the most current edition, and I'm running into this issue of those Savage Worlds is set up to not have precise classes like in other roleplay games such as D20, Dungeons and Dragons, and every video game roleplay game for the most part. It seems like, for me at least, to keep the mechanics like kind of relatively stable, I want to create class templates that people can make their characters from, and then from there can customize them into more looser, broader kind of roles. And so I'm curious about your perspective on this, because as I've delved deeper into this issue, I've come across one sort of glaring thing, which is in roleplay games, there are a lot of examples of high fantasy games that have lots and lots of different kinds of classes that intersect with different kinds of classic classes, and then kind of go off in a different direction. Sort of the classic ones you might think of are the mage or the wizard, and then you have the fighter or the warrior knight type character, and then the probably the other one would be sort of a rogue type character, thiefy type character. And if you have a game where you have like 3 party members that are each filling those class roles, you can pretty much create a really balanced situation. But if you try to then go into a game that's a more modern setting or a more like science fiction setting, it's harder to find really good examples of what would be the modern equivalents or like the futuristic equivalents to those 3 types, and to create a balanced gameplay situation. Currently, what I'm looking into is for modeling, I'm using some ideas from Team Fortress 2, and I'm even going so far as looking into how the classes work for the recently released game Evolve. Because Evolve offers this interesting thing of there are 4 classes, but then each class is made up of like 3 distinct characters, which are sort of subtypes of their main class. And I'm trying to use that. And so what I'm looking for, really, as silly as this is I'm kind of desperate for input on this. The setting that I'm working with is a science fiction setting, but it's very much like Firefly in the sense that the tech level is tied to one's economic standing, and the environment that this game takes place in is a very sort of frontier world. So though it's a science fiction setting, and though there are aliens and robots and things, I'm trying to model these classes in a more sort of modern, contemporary way, and then sort of adding on the science fiction elements on top of it. Like, well, once you get enough money, obviously you would buy all the cool cybernetics and all the cool extra bits. But I want to base sort of the main structure on something that isn't entirely science fiction-y based. If anything, I'm trying to stay a bit away from the Mass Effect thing, which is technology is magic. In Mass Effect, you can kind of get away with sometimes with the idea of it's science-y stuff, don't question it, it just kind of happens, you can just kind of do that. I want to stick more towards based on the reality and things like that a bit more, and then it kind of launches off as you sort of get higher level and you have access to more things. But I want to stick it more towards reality so people can really relate to how these different jobs or these different classes work. So far what I have going is that there's definitely going to be a trapper or ranger class, because this is a frontier world that's full of monsters. I'm basically looking for something that would fill the role at this point of like what would be the tank, and also sort of what would be the mage class type filler. If we're going with the 3 role classic kind of setup. I've considered doing either 3 or 4 main roles for this. And even though this video is vague, I hope it might be enough of a sort of, I don't know what to call this, but I'm just really desperate for ideas, and I'm really interested in reaching out to everyone who's subscribed to my channel at this point and ask you guys, what are examples that you think work really well for a modern or science fiction type roleplay game? And they could be examples from tabletop games, or they could be examples from video games. I'm really not picky on it. I do have the Traveler a core rulebook. That's a famous obscure one, and I have this Spelljammer one, which I think I showed in the promo. But beyond that, I'm really thirsty and hungry for input, and I would just really appreciate what your thoughts are on this. Thank you for having the patience of listening. I hope to do more videos on this game subject in the future. Bye!